looking at a few things that will help allow you to develop your portfolio. As a reminder, your portfolio is your final essentially in this class, where it is a collection of everything that you've created throughout the semester. So everything from your beginner fundamental practice page, where you're exploring just how to figure out and navigate the programs, all the way to the final project. So up to this point, your midterm will allow you to accrue all of that content and then compile it onto a portfolio to help get your portfolio established in preparation for the final. So again, your midterm is the majority of it is building up your portfolio. And I'm going to show you 3 different sites that you can use to establish your portfolio, and then we're going to look at examples just so you can see what I'll be looking for in your portfolio. So in addition to that, with your midterm, you will have a review that you can take multiple times, but you will see that later on in the module. This video we will focus on just your portfolio. So if I open up a browser, we'll just get started here. If you can see my tabs, we'll be looking at Wix, Weebly, Google Sites, okay? And then we will look at student examples here, just so you can see what past students have done. That way you have something to reference, and all of these will be available to you through the resources panel, or resources thumbnail, excuse me, on the home page. So if you click on resources and then go to portfolio, you will find all of the student examples that you can reference. So just a heads up there. I'm going to start with Wix. This is the one I prefer the most out of all of them. I feel like Wix is probably the best balance of keeping up to date as far as how you navigate and create your portfolio. It's pretty customizable, and it has a lot of good templates and options for free. So that's my preference, but my needs and interests may not suit you exactly, so I'm allowing you to explore other options as well. So again, Wix I feel like is a good balance of those things, whereas Weebly is still pretty solid. I feel like it has less resources for free. And on that note, don't pay for anything. Make sure that we are reading the options that we have, and make sure that we are creating free work. And I'll show you what that looks like when you go to publish your site. And then Google Sites is fairly new. If you have a good understanding of how other Google applications work, I think Google Sites is a good way to go if you're confident in how to use docs, slides, spreadsheets, all of that through Google. So that's a plus. It's really similar to the others. I think the downfall to Google Sites is it can tend to be more minimal, and you have less options to manipulate and make your own. But it's still a good option, so we'll look at that as well. Jumping into Wix here, you're going to want to sign in first. I would suggest just using your school email. We'll just do this. Password. Okay. I already made one here, but we'll see. Oh, there we go. So when you log in, you're going to be able to see that you have different, you're going to open up and you're not going to see any, excuse me, pre-existing sites because you haven't built one yet. But you will have a button somewhere where it says create new site. You're going to want to click on that. And then when you click on create new site, you're going to get some options here. You can use some deductive reasoning here. Now, when you go to select what kind of website you want to create, right? Logic would probably tell you it is a design class, and we're also creating a portfolio. So I would fit within one of these two. It's going to be your choice, and you can always change templates down the road. But initially, I would use those two. Feel free to explore the other ones if it makes sense. I'll click on portfolio here. And one thing that with Wix, they've had this for a few years now where they have two main options on how you want to create your website. You have Wix ADI, and then you have your create your own. The ADI will ask you a compilation of questions, and then it will try to assume what you want to do. So while it is nice that it assumes and things are applied on your on its own, it's a little more restrictive when you want to go customize it yourself. So just be aware of that. It's ultimately, again, your choice on what you prefer. I've had more luck with the right side here, where you just create your own website and you have the whole suite or whole editor suite to utilize. So that's what I'll choose here. I'm going to choose template. And again, you're going to have a whole slew of different examples that you can look at, change around, right? It's going to be up to you. You don't have to, it's not a one-size-fits all approach. You can explore a little bit. As you can see, you can hover and edit or view. I'll just go ahead and hit view here, and you can get like a preview of what it looks like. Yeah, you're not going to hurt anything by exploring, hit view, load, try things out. Just click on a template. It will take a minute to load up. There's a lot of content that it has to compile while you wait for it to go. And here is what is called the editor mode. You'll know if you're in editor mode if you look at your URL here. And if it always starts in editor, you know you're in editor mode. So just a heads up there. I'm not going to click on each individual thing, so it would just take way too long, and I want you to explore a little bit more on your own. But I'll give you a rundown of the user interface just so you can see what's going on here. So in your top, that's kind of like your menu bar that you would have in Photoshop Illustrator, where you can find a lot of content. You're going to have a lot of drop-down menus, hence the name menu bar. You're going to be able to find most of what you want there. It's just not the most efficient way. Initially here you're going to be able to see your pages here. So you can see that this has a portfolio page, and then it has a bunch of different pages nestled underneath. And they're nestled and hidden because they're tabbed over. And then it has an about page, contact, blog, book online, a bunch of stuff. You may not need some of these pages. You might not. You might be able to just get rid of things right off the bat here. Going on your left, you have a pages button, background, add button, add apps, media, my blog, bookings. So there's some things right off the bat you may not use just for your portfolio. Bookings you're probably not going to use for a portfolio at this point. Blog, unless you want to develop your own blogging area, you may not use that. Media, that is where you will compile your work. So you will have a collection of your media there, or your designs that you've made. Add apps you probably won't use, I would assume. You can explore it a little bit, but you're going to be kind of limited based on the free version here. Adding is nice. If I click on that, you can see all these different things you can add. And again, we're going to go in like full exploration mode on these portfolios. Ultimately, I'll be looking for three main things. and that is your project, sources of inspiration, and reflection. So ultimately, if those three things are on there at this stage, you'll be set, and you can tweak and adjust as you go here. If we look at pages again, I'll just go up here. Again, if you click on pages, you can see you can link pages, you can add pages, and again, this is where you're gonna have to go like full on exploration and see what you can do here. But don't hesitate to just read pop-up menus, pop-up windows to make sure that we are trying to do what we want to do there. Background, I feel like that is pretty self-explanatory. You have colors, image, video. You can compile a lot of things on here. You can apply backgrounds to multiple pages, all of that. One heavy suggestion I'll give you is that while there's a lot of cool animated videos and very interesting backgrounds, the most important thing that I want to see is your work, not just a random background. So I would keep that in mind as you decide what you want to do there for a background. Um, Going down to your add button, again, you can add text. So if you want a different header, you want different titles, add an image. You can see you have free stuff here. You can also see where you can access your uploads. You can add buttons, which will link you to something else. You can add different galleries, which might be nice. This is what you're seeing here on this page is a gallery of sorts. You can add just decorative icons and artwork. You can create interactive things, boxes that will just allow you to divide and separate and maybe um, make certain content stand out in different ways. Again, there's a lot of things here. Social, there's different bars that you can apply there. Um, yeah, there's a ton of things. But in the basics, ultimately, what we're trying to do is just to show our image or our designs, final work, inspiration, and reflection. And anything that you see on the screen, you can pretty much edit. So don't hesitate to do that. You can see here this is a big image where you can just click Manage Media, and it will bring up where you can add more content here. Where you can organize a gallery. You can set this up a lot of different ways. I don't want to tell you an exact way to do it because I don't want 150, 180 of the same portfolio made. So don't hesitate to kind of mess things up, explore a little bit. The worst thing that's going to happen is that it's just not where you want it and you need to revise it later. That's not a big deal. When it's all said and done, your save mode, it tries to autosave. I wouldn't rely on that too much. What I would suggest, there we go. What I would suggest is always hit your publish. And then when you do that, we'll click and it says congratulations, your site is online. You can change your name here. As long as it says Wix site and my site in there, it will give you that free option. And Weebly is pretty much the same. But as long as you hit, if you see congratulations, it has accepted the URL that you've created, and you can hit view site. And that is how you would finalize your work. Again, that's a quick rundown of Wix. There are more developed videos and resources that you can find. Wix has been around for a while. They even have a YouTube page that breaks down certain things, if that is beneficial to you as well. I think there's a lot of power and strength in just opening it up and trying to explore and accidentally moving things and breaking things and having to fix them. And there's a lot of learning to be had that way. So just a heads up there. Moving on to Weebly. Again, you can log in, sign up. Note, most current New Tech students have to use Weebly. They have to use Weebly to uh, create a portfolio of sorts in. Looks like there was one here. I forgot. They have to use Weebly to create a portfolio. If you're in that boat where you've already developed a new tech website, feel free to just add on to a pre-existing. Um, I haven't had any teacher tell me that their students cannot do that. They prefer them to do that. That way, all their content is in one place. So, just a heads up there. I might have to try. That's nice. Okay. Let's try this one. I haven't used Weebly in a minute, so. Okay. Alright, introducing new dashboard. Dashboard is essentially where if you had multiple sites going, that's where you would see them. And this is where you may have to go to find your website. So if you log in and you can't find what you're working on, you may have to click on My Site, Websites, and find an area where it says Edit. I'm going to go ahead and hit Edit here. And Weebly, again, hasn't changed its format for a while. And I say that, and here's an update. It's interesting. This one does have themes that you can find. Again, I feel like Weebly is a little bit older, a little bit more outdated compared to others, but it's not that big of a deal. I just prefer Wix as it seems to respond better to updated browsers. Let's see if it loads. Let's try that. Really does not change the theme. Okay. So your theme is like your templates from Wix. So once you click on theme there, again, it's kind of it's interesting that it loads up and then you have to backtrack and find a theme. But that's just how Weebly's decided to set those up. And again, you're not going to hurt anything by just trying to explore and look around here. Let's choose this. There we go. And again, anything that you can see here, you can edit. Weebly, it likes to rely on click and drag a little bit more so. And you can see as I hover over things, certain items have designated areas that you can edit and replace. So it's very directive in actually clicking on content to edit it, or clicking on one of your selections here and then dragging it in. So it's a little bit different, but once you mess around with it, you'll be able to get used to it fairly quick. So just as an example, you could click and you could see that I can move, click and drag and move and add an image in an area. I can click on upload. And again, you can see just from this preview here, it looks a little bit older. It still works. It's just not my preferred method, but it does work. And I've had some students make some outstanding portfolios with this website. So don't hesitate to explore that if you'd like. Okay? And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time with this one. Just know this is more click and drag based. And you can manipulate by moving just a little bit different than Wix. Okay? Google Sites. Google Sites, it automatically logged me in. So this is kind of nice. It already detected my school Gmail account, and you can see the gallery and the interface here that you interact with. It looks really familiar. It should look similar to you with Google Drive, Slides, Docs, all of that. I feel like Google does a really good job of making their content consistent, almost to the point where sometimes it's confusing because you think you're on one format and not the other. But nonetheless, this has a bunch of gallery or previews too. You can find some online too that you might be able to download and use as a template too. Let's just go cliche here and just click on student portfolio, see what this one looks like. This over here. And again, anything that you see on the screen you can edit. And this one has a more minimal approach, but it's very responsive because of it. So feel free to try this one out. I don't have a lot of students that have used this so far. I've had a few, and they've all been pretty sound. But don't hesitate again to kind of explore. This one's kind of nice. The layout again, it's a little more minimal but more consistent with other programs that are in the Google family. You can insert things. You can create new pages. You can see different themes here. It's again all up to you. It's a pretty cool thing. You could preview it, so you publish it just the same. Again, I won't spend a lot of time in here. I'd rather you explore a little bit. And remember, your end goal is you're creating a portfolio that shows your work with three main components: final version, inspiration, and reflection. And I know that's not a very descriptive rundown, but again, there's power in exploration and trying things out on your own just to see what you can do. And as long as you have the end goal in mind, that you're trying to make a sound portfolio showing each project and the components that are needed, you'll be good. And the portfolio is constantly evolving. It doesn't remain stagnant. It should be updated as you see the means to do so. And if it needs an update, then change it as we stick with one of our general class goals, and that's continually improving our work. So that is a quick rundown. And if you need more of a description on any of that, of course, you have the power at your fingertips with searching videos and things of the like. So use your resources there, to help yourself out there. Jumping into student examples, I will continue to add student examples as I see fit. If you go to the homepage here, you've always had access to resources, but it's constantly evolving as I'm trying to follow that same principle of continually trying to make things better. So I try to add more resources as we go, as I see fit. And you'll see here, if you look at the resources page, what you'll see, there we go. There's a lot of different things that you can select, and I'm kind of reverting away from the focus here, but just wanted to preview this again. If you click on portfolio, what will happen is, again, this is evolving and changing as we go. You'll see that I've provided embedded videos for Wix and Weebly. One for Google Sites will be coming soon. And there will be more samples and resources here as we progress. And then portfolio examples, this is where you'll see student work. All of these images are links to student-made portfolios. And again, you'll see more as we go. And I've already opened up some for you. Let's jump into this one. And again, we're looking at just a completely customized. You can see this one is made with Wix. It's a portfolio for student work. And again, the big ones that we're looking for is every project that you make in class, and then a source of inspiration and reflection. You'll see examples of that here. So this is a former student here, where you're seeing different pieces of work. And this is just one view, right? We have a main logo that Jack created for Open Eyes Comics. It's a comic that he has started and is continually developing. And you can see if I click on these, it will open up just an expanded view here, which is pretty cool. Some of the work is self work, things that he's done on his own, and then other things are uh, assignments for class. So what we'll do here is go to school projects, and we'll see what happens here. Projects have changed over time, but this one here you'll see he's done a minimal logo here, and you can see he's actually went a little bit above and actually put his logo in use in a mock-up. Here's the original design here, and then on the right he has what I would call his source of inspiration and reflection. I'm not going to read all of this, but if you look, he had a purpose behind this. So his inspiration was to create a logo that he could use for a comic book company, and then he explained where he was looking for his inspiration. So he was looking at logos like Dark Horse, Titan, and Vertigo. You could see, and it's pretty descriptive of where he found his work. And then he didn't go into too much detail on the reflection, but overall he was happy with how it turned out. This would be more of your reflection. I would like to see more than just a sentence or two. I would go three, no more than maybe seven complete sentences to describe your reflection. So to recap again, when he was assigned this project, he decided to look for inspiration first. So figured out what he wanted to do based on the ideas he found, and he built off of those ideas. He didn't steal them; he just used them for inspiration, and then recreated his own. And then after he finished the project, he reflected on his work, stating what he was happy about and how things turned out. To expand on that reflection piece, you can state the entire process from beginning to end, where you're explaining um, if it was difficult or not to find inspiration, if it was hard to actually create it, if you did really well with a certain tool, an Illustrator or Photoshop. Um, yeah, it could be an overall, it could be throughout the whole thing, but ultimately you're trying to reflect on your work as a whole there. So again, this is just one site here, one look. You don't have to create yours just like his. If you did, everything would be just kind of boring and not too original. So feel free to explore, put your own twist on things, and as long as you have your final project sources of inspiration and a reflection, you will be set. Okay? And again, that is your final version, a source of inspiration and reflection. Moving on to another one here, you can see that this one looks completely different. It has different areas to access from the top, which is pretty cool. You can see that it has different projects alternating here, so it's a pretty neat look where the design is on the left, title on the right, and then it alternates there. And as you can see, they started to develop their inspiration, reflection, and actually titled things as such with the preview on the side. This one is not entirely finished, but the layout is super cool, and that's one thing that you can strive to develop as you progress and build your portfolio, is making the viewer interested and engaged in your work while maintaining a solid structure that is consistent. So if your viewer is looking for something, it's not very hard to navigate. It's consistent. So this alternating left to right idea makes this very consistent to work with. So this one is a little more descriptive in their responses, which is really great. You could get a thorough understanding what inspired them to create their work, and also how they felt after creating the work for the majority here, especially in this latter part here. Um, so again, completely different look. This one has a nice way of masking the detailed background and focusing on the work, which is important. And then finally, just looking at one more. This one, a little bit more minimal in the background approach, but when you do that, your main focus is easily understood, and that is the work itself. This one here, I do like the overall look, where you can just quickly scroll to see everything. So it's very clean in that regard. Where it kind of lacks is the inspiration and reflection. So you could see that it's not well described on what inspired them and reflecting on their work. But the layout is top notch. So I did want to show you this one as it's super clean. So again, feel free to explore the different website builders, Wix, Weebly, Squarespace. Okay, don't hesitate to maybe make a few, and if it doesn't go your way and you want to try a new one, that's no harm, no foul. You just have to figure out how to manage your time and when you need to decide to make that move. If you can't decide, so. With that, in closing, again, the main things that you want to look at and apply to your work at this point is to make sure you have your final version of your work, the inspiration, which could be written saying what inspired you to do that project other than it was required, and then a reflection. So reflecting on the creative process, the sketching, the creating it digitally, submitting it, the overall outcome, the whole process. Feel free to reflect on. And on that, if you want to make it sound more formal, which I would suggest, try to utilize some of those terms that you've used or have seen in class. You can talk about shortcuts, you can talk about certain tools, and especially the fundamentals. So principles, elements, line, shape, color, form, texture, value, on and on and on, balance, contrast. Use those words if it makes sense to do so to explain your work, and that will help the viewer understand your inspiration, reflection, and the process a little bit more. Um, with that, in closing, again, those three things is what I'm really looking for: final inspiration, reflection for each and every project um, in your portfolio. So if you need to catch up and get those assignments finished, they are vital for your portfolio to be completed. So keep that in mind. And as always, if you ever have any questions, feel free to contact me, and we can get things going for you.